Morning. Today's we'll discuss about a role of a manager, which is highly confusing concept, highly confusing topic, and people are often regarded as a manager in their professional life based on their experience, their age, or their knowledge. How are they really doing manager job? That's what we are trying to learn. So expectations from today's presentations or today's seminar would be to understand what is the role of a manager as the heading says. So before I start, let's everybody ready to answer something. How many role of Garima? How many level of management we have? Quickly, how many level of we have in a management pyramid?
Sir, three level of management.
Yes,
We
quickly.
have top level management, middle level management, and lower level.
Yes, thank you. So everybody has a very general understanding. We have a three level of management: top level, middle level, lower management. Thank you. So, what are the different activities or what are the different roles we can expect from these three level? So, Vikas, what do you think? What is a top management is expected to do in a company?
So top management is expecting to use their brain and he passes knowledge to middle management to supervise their lower management staff because they use their body and actually they are in the supervisory role and they have to be reported. They have to report to middle management and top management always good in decision making.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So what we understand, a role of a top management is to do a decision making, is to do frame strategies
Yes.
where the company will go. And what do you think, Rahul, about the lower management? What the lower management is expected to do in a company?
Sir, I believe lower management is expected to do the urgent task, whatever is given to them, because they do not have, or means they have the technical skills things. So whatever the middle management or top management is deciding, so it is up to the lower management how fast they are doing, so that they can give their work to the middle and top.
Okay, so lower management is expected to use their immediate skills, knowledge, and experience to perform. So whatever is expected at a lower management people, they have to do these three things. And when we come to these three things, these three things involves use of our physical body. So which means the task I am doing, I have to be present. If I am preparing a report, I have to be present. If I am doing any review of any work, I have to be present. I have to be physically available to do task here. Why people are higher in a lower management is based on these three things: skills, knowledge, and experience. These are the three factors. When we hire people at a lower level, we determine and we give them tasks and they perform them. Since everybody has a limited time in a working life, somebody can give 8 hours, other can give 12, maximum 16, but practically nobody can continuously give more than 10 hours to 12 hours in a day. So that's why people in this quadrant or in this area are always busy because they have to perform their work. So why they are busy? Because as I said, everybody has to perform by their hand. Everybody has to devote time to particular work in a manner that it is performed directly under the supervision of one person or another person. So that's why they are busy. So now very important comes, which I did not ask the question: what is the role of a middle management? What a management manager is supposed to do. As the name suggests, they are in between two category or two types of people. One is the top management. So they have a responsibility to report to the top management to support their strategy or a decision making. So they have to do something. They have to support top management to bring the data, informations, or intellectual they need to do a decision making to support them. Second thing they have to do is support lower management. How middle management can support lower management? Anybody can answer this question? How Middle management.
To improve productivity.
So that is what the middle management role is, to support lower management to improve productivity. So that's a very interesting phase, or I would say special skill set required. So very basic question comes, out of the three level, what do we feel is the most difficult level to work with? Anybody can answer. What is the most difficult level if a person is working in terms of self motivations, in terms of continuous changes, in terms of bringing a strategy to the organizations and taking more and more responsibility? Which level is the most difficult one?
Middle level.
Middle level.
So we have a very unanimous decision that middle level management is the most difficult one, because they have to come and support the lower management task, the people who are actually working on the task. Similarly, they have to compile a technical, intellectual, or an information decision making to support top management to do a decision making strategy. So since everybody understand it's the most difficult work to do, so that's why people unconsciously, and in some cases being selfish or being a bad manager, try to avoid this role. I give you an example. So we have a person who, for example, like 10 plus old experienced person. So based on his skills, knowledge, and work, he should be classified as a middle management, because he has been gone through this hard work. But since he or she has got so much experience and so much work, so he feels to show some different, or he or she feels to show some differentiation from the lower management or the people working here. So what he does, he tries to remain here. Why? Because this is the area where most of the production happening. The work here, it is very difficult to show what we have achieved. But here, it is very easy to show. We have prepared 4 audit reports. We have prepared filing for 10 annual filing. 2 projects are completed. Invoicing will be done. Money will come. So that's why people who have achieved a reasonable level of skills and experience, they remain. They want to willingly remain here, because the moment they will shift to this level, as we said, as we all decided and discussed, it is the most difficult level. So that is a very bad part of a manager, and that is what is the topic of this today's objective. That as a manager, today we have some identified managers, including myself, Nitin, Kamata-san, Vikas, and branches Akansha and Pritesh. Later on, there would be a future people. So based on, again I'm saying, age and experience, people will be promoted, designated as a manager. But what is truly a role of a manager? That's what we are discussing here. So as I said, sometimes intentionally, with a selfish, motivated, controlled environment, people remain in the lower management. So they get a salary of a high middle management. They get a powers and authority of a middle management. Unfortunately, for their comfort levels, so they remain in a micromanagement. They feel that since they have, because they know tactics or traits of a trade, that how to manage the work quickly, so they can manage their personal and professional work efficiently. So that is what we have to learn here, that once we are given a responsibility, or unless we acquire a skill set or a working style of a middle management, we will not be grown in our career. That is a proven fact, because people sitting at a top management are there because of their experience, or they are promoter, CEO, or they are honored. So they know that which are the people who can drive the future organization. So that's what we will do, and we will discuss based on what is this pyramid, or this different 3 level of management have impact on a company's life cycle. So next we will discuss about the company life cycle. So when a company is established, this is time, this is growth, we can say, or sales. So this is a typical company life cycle. So when a company is established or when an organization is set up, it's a small subsidiary or a big company, every organization has to go through this phase. I personally feel in a personal life also. When we start our career, it's a implementations. It's implementation, which is I, this is growth, and this is maturity, and then finally we have a decline. So when we are starting something, for example, when we start studying something, so in the implementation phase, we have to make certain kind of strategies and implementation. For example, if you want to start a new business, so two things we need to have it: a strategy plan, what should we do, and then finally we have to implement. So this phase involves a lot of strategy and implementations, and we call it as a typical entrepreneur. Sure. So at this level, the company has to have entrepreneurship level. So most of the time, most of the organizations and a professional survive this phase. Why? Because it has a lot of energy, enthusiasm, and excitement involved. We have a lot of strategies we can implement. Loss is not so high of a failure because we just started. We spend maybe 1 month, 2 months on one plan and strategy. We fail. Loss is not high. We can change it. So most of the organizations survive this I phase, implementation phase as a manager also because it's very exciting. However, there are certain examples, there are certain subsidiaries of Japanese company we have seen in India. I can name them, for example, Leverages fails very badly. There are a couple of more clients which even fail in this stage also. There are different reasons for that, but most of the time we survive. Second phase come when finally we have set up something and the results have started company. So we see a lot of growth coming. So growth, company growth, sales turnover, people hire more, we hire more people, we open more branches, we get more sales and the company gets growth. Then after a certain growth period, it can be 5 years for organizations, it can be 10 years for them, we attain a maturity. Maturity means everything is going stable. Sales is happening because we have some reputation. For example, TCF India can be one example. After 12 years, I would say after 10 years to 13 years, we had a maturity because a certain amount of experience, brand name, brand value, and exposure we have, and finally our sales started moving fine. However, this maturity phase is a life. If we do not do something new, it will decline. And everything happens. It happens in an individual personal life also. As a professional, if we do not do something after a certain age of experience, we feel that things are going fine, but it will gonna come down. So here, what a company has to do, as I said in the implementation phase, lot of strategy implementation. Here we have to do a lot of standardization. What is standardization? What do you think? What is standardization?
So standardization means whatever the process involved should be like there should be some benchmark so that can be cope up with the industry. So that is like if we talk about our industry, consulting industry. So we have certain framework. So we should maintain a framework to accomplish that task and to how we are going to reply to our clients and how we are so that kind of standardization should be there.
So that is a kind of an external benchmark. What do you think? What is standardization in the company we can think of?
So basically, we can fix certain targets like to promote the sales. This is the certain benchmark target you have to achieve, and it will be aligned towards the growth. So we are thinking for the growth, and we are setting up the targets.
Anybody have more specific answer to standardization?
The setup of certain rule that everyone should follow to generate a result in a company.
So basically, it's a very simple one. It's a checklist. It's a template. It's a format. It's a company policy which should be set and making an environment in a way that it is based on systems. So whether it's a national manager, whether it's a senior manager, whether it's an assistant manager, everybody has to follow, or whether it's an executive, everybody has to follow the checklist. So for example, if you are preparing any annual report, so there are 5 things have to be done, and we can pass on this list to everybody. It has to be done. So that standardization requires a lot of hard work, because we have to cover a lot of all possible scenarios, all possible what can go wrong situations, and cover those risks, mitigate those risks into that checklist. So who is supposed to prepare that checklist? The people are here, here, here.
Middle management.
So middle management. So that is one thing the middle management should be doing on a constant basis. They are supposed to prepare a checklist in standardization. The people at here, because they have already gone through this experience and knowledge and skill phase, so they know what is needed to be done. So once I know how to do a task, that too more efficiently, the next important thing which is expected from me, to bring all my intellectual, all my experience into piece of paper, which is called standardization checklist, for example. So that works require a lot of, honestly speaking, energy and motivations, and stress also, because that standardization checklist does not have any immediate impact. So which means if you have to prepare a report, we can prepare a report through a lower management's direct micromanagement and get the work done, submit to the client, invoice, money coming. Second way is we can based on checklist. So whether it's based on a checklist or we are doing micromanagement, immediately nobody can make any difference. The difference would come into a growth phase. So that is another thing between management is directly related and responsible is to do a standardization. And why bad managers who are experienced and a middle level don't do it? Because as I said, they are they are procrastinating the things of immediate which are important for the future, because they feel if they remain into this particular strata, they can manage, they can do a micromanagement, and they can get it done more efficiently. So this is something we have to avoid as a middle manager. The first thing, as a middle management, we have to be careful that our role is standardization. Is standardization is a close-ended process or an open-ended process? Can anybody answer that? Standardization can see end. Middle management can sit and relax. Okay, that these month things were required and I've done standardization. I can stop.
No, sir.
It's open-ended. So that's another dilemma or another stress for the middle management, that his or her tasks are never ended. Lower management people, they have to prepare certain director change process. They do it in Washington. They can go and relax. But middle management tasks can never get to an end. So that's why they psychologically they are stressed not to take a responsibility of the middle management. Next, we are moving to the maturity phase. Maturity phase, very interesting phase, honestly speaking. Things are still little bit moving, and since we have already a lot of reserve cash available with us, because we have spent 10 years, 15 years, our brand name is okay. People are just giving works on knowing that a TCF is a 15-year-old company, so the things will come. So things are moving. So, and why the profit is high here? Because we don't have to hire more people. Because in this phase, we get new tasks, we hire more people. We get new tasks, we hire more people. But here, things are established. The set number of people can do, and then things can move. So situation here looks very comfortable for the people and for the company. However, how long can it work? If we do not change something, it cannot work. So this phase requires a lot of innovations. So that is what we have to learn as a product lifestyle. If we do not do any innovations, then definitely the last phase decline will start, and eventually company will go to bankrupt. And that happens, honestly speaking, in a personal professional life cycle also. I've seen, I sometimes also feel the day I stop doing something innovative with my knowledge and skills and experience as a manager, the things start going down. Personally, also in my salary, my profit, my sharing, and everything also. So that is what we have to be careful that we have to do it. So now, there are 3 things we have to do to make a company pass through these stages. One is act as an entrepreneur, which means strategy, implementations, take it, standardizations, innovation. Who out of this thing are most responsible to do that? Who is has a direct, immediate responsibility to drive these three things in a company?
Top management.
Top man.
So we feel that top management would do entrepreneurship, standardizations, and innovation. Our answer is middle management. This is a middle management role to bring standardization. Top management will take a decision. So, for example, they take a decision. They will hire. They will implement. Open a new branch in, for example, Ahmedabad. That's done. Because considering the based on informations, considering the things, they've decided that they will open a new service line. So this is decision strategy has been done. Now who has to implement? That's the middle management guy has to do it. Lower management people will not do because they don't have that new experience. Similarly, standardization, top management will not come down to that level to do a standardization. That is based on vast experience middle management carries. They have to do the standardization. Similarly, innovation. So that's very important that if we do not do innovations, then company will go down. But if we do innovation, there is a high possibility of a sharper growth than what we have experienced in this. So that is also a role of an middle management. Why top management needed into more in this decision? Because at the end of the day, decision will be taken by the top management. So I understand why the answer was top management, because these stages require a lot of decision making, but those decision making will be supported by the strategy making or information sharing by the middle management. That's why we have to be careful these things to be done here. So what is more important, what we have to learn as a middle management here is that middle management is supposed or always carries a responsibility to change something. We as a middle management or a manager cannot be static, cannot be stagnant on a particular strategy, on a particular business style, on a particular decision making, because these are the direct role of a middle management. They have to implement a lot of things, which involve change. They have to bring a lot of standardization. Standardization is not like we make a current task list, checklist, or a manual, because new business is coming, even existing work is changing the way things are done. So that those checklists have to be evolved constantly. So standardization also a continuous process. Innovation anyway per se is a very changing process. We have to change something to move on. So that's why the first thing as a manager, if you want to learn something, always keep in your mind that we have to change something. We cannot be stagnant. So the one bad characteristic we discussed earlier, that middle management people try to remain into this thing to avoid the risk, stress, and responsibility of middle management. Second thing, if a manager is busy means he is trying to still managing lot of things through a micromanagement. So we have to learn as a manager, we have to create an environment, we have to create processes where middle management is not busy, because if he busy into the lower management, who will do standardizations and innovations? So that is another very big failure on the part of the management. So we have to be very careful. Any questions into these two graphs or two pyramid of management vis-a-vis a company life cycle, and more importantly, how they are connected with the role of a manager at each life stage of a company? Any question, anything you want to discuss? Yeah. Before we move to the more important thing, why we see managers are so busy and how they can make their life less busy and more productive towards the management. Okay, so we will move to another concept which falls into the category of, is a graph of something urgent and important. Who will tell me that what is the difference between urgent and important?
Urgent task is like they implemented by lower level management because that is completed by skills, knowledge, and experience, and they provide immediate result by completing that. And important task is like by implement by middle and top management because that is future innovation, future growth.
So yes, so that is a very specific management-based definition what Kirti has given. But in general, also we know Urgent is we have to do it. For example, if a due date is coming to file a TDS return, so it is urgent, we have to do it. However, 1 month back it was important. It was not immediately due. We knew the timeline would come after 1 month. We could have made a better strategies planning to do it. However, when the situation become urgent, we have to just get it done, and it happens more often than not. So we have seen people struggling always with tasks. We have seen. I used to say there was my manager. Whenever I was asking him something, so he was always struggling with one timeline or other timeline. So which means he was always busy doing urgent thing. So what it means? It means that when the uh, task or situation was important, the person or the manager was not giving an importance due significance to at this stage. He was just procrastination. He was just procrastinating the things so that everything becoming urgent, and that become very terrible to manage. Because in urgent situation, what we do, we forget about what can be like best way to do it. We just feel how to do it. So we just end up how to do file a income tax return. Hadn't we done more better planning, we could have improved some presentation way, we can write some better structure of compiling the computation and so on and so forth. But since we are at an urgent state, we have to just do it. So that's a very practical example. Everybody struggles with this situation. So why? Because we are not doing a proper planning for that. So as we feel, and as what Kriti was also saying, these two quadrants of this diagram represent current situations, which means everything is urgent, high on urgent category, and we have to address them. And in a company, interestingly, 95% of energy, resource, budget is spent on urgent thing, current thing and urgent thing. Why? Because they are visible. We know we have to do this filing by 15th of February. If we don't do it, it will be identified by the client. There will be claims, complaint, and we have to address. So what we should do? Let's do it. So the management puts 95% resources on those current things. Best thing. Another point, it's kind of in a harvesting. Why harvesting? Because if due dates are coming 15th of February, we will complete our task, we will invoice to the client, money will come. So everybody can see that more and more urgent tasks company will do, the more and more money will come, and more and more harvesting will happen. So another, the bad managers attitude, they put a lot of emphasis on the current thing. It happened in a personal life also. We put a lot of energy on the things which are on hand, because very easy to get both. If we don't do it, a lot of problem can happen. If we do it, a lot of rewards can be visually seen, and we continue to spend our energy on this thing. However, really it is the role of a lower management, middle management, top management. Answer is no, because what they are supposed to do, they have to bring situation here, low on urgency, high on important category. So we have to identify what are those important area which a company should address, which will bring future development. So this is another point which a management, which a middle management should focus. A bad manager, middle manager remain busy into the current task. So because he or she feels that if he or she addresses the current task in hand, work can be completed, invoicing can be done, money can come, and he can prove his worth that he is doing. If he is not here, this task would not have been done. So that's why he remains focused here. A good manager should always bring top management focus into this area by way of bringing standardization and innovations, because he feels that unless somebody is working on the future development issue, the company will not grow properly, will not innovate, or ultimately will decline. So that is again the problem happens with a bad manager's attitude. He or she always bring the entire system. As I said, 95% of energy and resources we end up spending on current issues. So if the company is doing so, like for example, I can take our example. We also currently in a very bad shape. Most of the people in this company is 95%, I would say, time, including my time, goes into the current issue because we are struggling always on some timeline or other timeline. So we have to be careful. We have to pull out more energy from this area to this, and that can only be done by a middle manager. Lower management people cannot have that mindset because they are busy. Anyway, they are using their body. They are tired. They don't have time, and they don't get paid for that. Also, they don't get high bonuses for the doing this kind of a management job. They are paid according to this thing. So they will do always be in current task. Top management cannot do its decision making if middle management is keeping busy top management into the current issue, urgent issue. How will they will think about this thing? So that is how a middle management or a middle manager should be working on a task. However, again, I'm saying the bad managers sometimes unconsciously and sometimes just to manage his personal selfish interest always remain here, bring company to a point where he just try to remain into a smaller part of the business organizations, and more importantly he always remain busy into the current task. So that is very easy to understand. So the day we want to claim that we have become a manager or a middle manager, not based on our experience, skills, or knowledge, but on the basis of our roles and responses in the company, we have to learn immediately three things. One thing, we have to do a lot of strategy and implementations. Which means we have to help. If we have a join a company which is into a implementation phase, we have to do a lot of entrepreneurship. Second thing, if we are joining a company or getting promoted in a company which is into growth phase, let's do a lot of standardizations. Finally, with our hard work, the company has, and we are working in a company which is at a mature stage. Very easy to identify. Sales is moving at a very 5% up, 7% up, sometimes 3% down, 10% down. So this is a sign of a company, and profit is moving according to the sales up and down. So which means no additional investment is required. It is directly getting reflected in profit. The middle manager should do a lot of innovations. And why it is required? Because it is another way to link on a urgency and important diagram and a matrix that our lower management people should be brought into this first and second quadrant in terms of urgency and current matter, and the middle management and top management should spend a lot of their time into this fourth quadrant which talks about future development. So that is what are the manager roles, and again why bad managers are not able to do it, because they just procrastinate this thing. Why they do it? Again, I'm saying unconsciously, they are not aware of their role. That's why we need to understand where we are. Second point, sometimes they feel if they manage into the current task, if they do a lot of lower tasks through micromanagement, it is easy to show their importance. They by mistake they feel that that's why they are hired into the current company, and that's how they will change job in the new company based on their skills and knowledge and experience. However, that is not the fact. If a person really wants to grow in his or her career as a manager, the person has to understand the role of a manager is summarized into these three things. They have to act in the initial phase of a company as again entrepreneur, standardizations, innovations. So that's what the purpose we should be knowing. Do we really fail it? As I said, more often than not, people are unconscious about their role. So they grow into their career and a career ladder based on experience and their age. However, they don't learn what the role they should be doing because they go into a comfort zone. physically they are busy because they are doing a lot of micromanagement. But since they have experience, so they can manipulate those micromanagement and implementations, and that result into a point wherein they don't want to change stress, they don't want to use, as we've been saying, their brain. So if you really want to decide whether you are a lower management or middle management, just a very simple test is there. Are you really busy physically? If you are busy, no doubt whether you are a 10-year, 15-year like me, 17-year, 20-year-old experienced person, you are a lower management. Very simple. Very simple test to check it, that if you are sitting, your presence is required to get something done, then you are a lower management. Because if you are middle management, if you are a true really corporate manager, then you should not be a busy. Because the busy means we are stuck into the current urgent thing. We are not thinking about future. We are not thinking about standardization. We are not thinking about innovation. So we should not be busy about the current things. Second thing, if we feel to get the work done into a particular country or a branch, our presence is required or our direct presence is required, again it's a sign of that we are into lower management. We should create a system wherein multinational organizations work without a direct or micromanagement thing. So that is very, very important as a middle management. And now very interesting point come, how the top management would recognize and promote, give bonuses, high salary to the people who are into middle management. So answer is again very simple. The top management is watching who is busy or who is free or available to take such kind of futuristic approach, innovation, standardization, and they identify and they promote those people. So if we really want, again, every day we discuss this point, if we really want to grow in your career, I can give my personal experience in that. We have to be available always to support top management. We have to be, as I said, this arrow is our 80% time should be towards them and 20% time here to increase the productivity. Because top management is, CEO is looking for somebody who can replace him or her. And who would be that person? Definitely will be a person who is available to give time to his or her strategies, decision making, support, and implementation. So if we are free, then only we can support this person and can grow in our career. So again, please be very, very careful. Do not continue to be a selfish professional person who always accumulates his or her personal experience, knowledge, and skills, because that is a very, very, very bad and selfish trap. I feel that I can get the things done personally by me because I have the best of the lot experience and knowledge. So whatever I will check personally will be a beautiful and a best report. However, I will become busy in that. If I'm becoming that, so that is a trap. It's like a vicious cycle. I want to make a more and more beautiful report because I want to satisfy myself. If I'm doing something, it has to be perfect because I'm doing it being a 15-year-old child accountant. So to do that, I will again go into more deeper into lower management, try to study the book. So we have to avoid that. We have to find a system and standardization to somebody else to do for me. I should be using brain. Reading book should not be the manager task because that involves body. I should be having some kind of an implementation in brain for somebody else to do it. So please be very careful and try to always focus how we can be a manager. So that's what we wanted to link these three things: how management pyramid is connected with a company life cycle, and how the metrics of urgency and important have a role to play, and what as a middle management is connected with all these things. So middle management again is something to change. He is not here, she is not here to just follow static job description or a given task thing. So if the day you feel that you've been asked every day something to new, so that please, that's a one shine that the management is giving you a chance to grow. The management is pulling out you from this thing, the routine things, and giving you responsibility an opportunity to become a manager. So that's what we wanted to discuss today. Anybody has any question, discussion, confirmation? So Rahul, yes, what do you want to say?
So, sir, as you said that grading should be done by the lower management. So, if I have received some kind of question and it is based on the law thing, so should I rely on the lower management's input on that particular information, or should I also read about that?
So here comes the standardization. So if I have a query received from a client, for example, yesterday also a client asked me, what is the process, simple one to do a incorporation. So if we have a standardization in place, it would have taken me just 1 minute, and it actually took me just 1 minute only. I just passed on him that checklist. Please refer it. Now question to a specific, more technical question comes. So that is also, if we have a checklist, there is some new query is coming, we have to refer these 5 sources, give this section's reference and bring that material. Then it become very easy to me. If you come with the answer to me, you will have all those 5 sources, and for me it will be easy to tell, okay, you have checked already, it's fine, answer is correct. I don't have to waste my language or my energy to give into this. For example, opinion letter standardization. The client asks a lot of things to our opinion. Now we have fortunately created a standard opinion letter format. So whether it's tax, accounting, company law, IT, anything client is asking any opinion letter, we just download that format and just punch it, and it makes my life very easy to check it. In an entire 6-page opinion letter, I just check only 1 page conclusion because I know how the information has come. Anybody has any other questions? Okay, I think we can conclude. Thank you very much, everyone. It was nice. Thank you. We can conclude.